Cool. So I'm here with Joseph Parker. Joseph, thanks for joining us as part of this exhibition. So the purpose, which we've spoken about already, is to try and dispel the tall poppy syndrome by highlighting Kiwi success stories, celebrating them and sharing them. When any Kiwi succeeds, I think we all succeed collectively, and their success amplifies our own success. But also showing how, symbolic Kiwis, they're still just people. They have a childhood, they have struggles, and they're not that different from everyone else. And by doing that, showing that, hey, if these people can achieve these successes, then so can you, and so can all the kids coming to see this exhibition. I guess a good place to start would be, who is Kirsten, or where is Kirsten now? Let's wind back the clock and talk about Helen. And I guess talk us through what your childhood was like and what it was like just growing up in your family.
Yeah, so I was born in Tokarai.
Okay.
The youngest of four.
So I was born and raised in Auckland. I'm half Kenyan and half Pākehā.
So I was born in Lower Wellington, to a Fijian mother and my big father.
I grew up on a farm in the West Waikato on the slopes of Mount Pirongia, a sheep and cattle farm.
So I grew up in Invercargill.
I'm a third generation Kiwi. My grandfather came out in the 1920s on a ship where there were 20 young men. Half were Gujarati and half were Punjabi.
In Auckland, New Zealand. South Auckland, born and raised.
I'm mixed race, so my mum is Hong Kong Chinese, and my dad is half Maltese and half English. But at the age of 5, I'd have been living in Hong Kong and hanging out with my Chinese family, not speaking English, and then eating rice.
What would be great is to talk about where you are now and what you've achieved, because a lot of people will know you, but a lot of people, kids coming through may not be as familiar with you.
Being a Member of Parliament then for 27 and a half years, which included 9 years as Prime Minister. Then I went to the United Nations to head the UN Development Programme, which was a big and important programme.
So I think a lot of people know me as a fighter, as an athlete. What I've achieved in boxing was able to win New Zealand title, world title, and then was able to be in one of the biggest fights in 2018, unification heavyweight championship of the world. Wow.
I'm a dancer. Where I am today, and dancer are behind a few names: Rihanna, J-Lo, Justin Bieber, Jason Derulo, and a few more. But yeah,
a few more. This is amazing.
No.
Rocket Lab is building launch vehicles, building rockets. Electron, our launch vehicle, is the 4th most frequently launched rocket in the world right now. Mm-hmm. So we launch more than Europe, we launch more than Japan. We've quickly moved up the ranks of launching nations.
We're the only organisation in New Zealand that is privately owned that does have that many doctors working for them. Over 1,000 staff. 260,000 registered patients.
Sky City, which is 700 seats, and usually reserved for the bigger sort of overseas comedians. Had 2 sold out shows.
And sold out shows all across New Zealand as well.
So all across New Zealand, so my whole tour every day sold out in 2 hours.
It's crazy.
Yeah, so Nana Girl is actually a character, and it's one of the brands that we have under Nana Girl's Lab, which is basically an education company all about making positive change in the world and making sure everybody everywhere has access to education. Now we're in 107 countries and multiple languages,
And we've built Zuru into what is one of the largest toy companies in the world. I think we're up to number 6. We have about 8,500 staff now, 23 offices around the world.
So I'm an artist, musician. Songwrite, rap. A few people like it.
Well, 1 million people.
Could just be my mum 1 million times on repeat. But you know what? At the end of the day, I guess numbers doesn't matter as long as there's a cool exchange going on, which I think that there is. So I'm pretty happy.
Hey, I want to become one of the best cricketers in the world. How does this set up to look at when you're just hitting sixes every time? People might look at you and say, wow, Helen's achieved all these amazing things. She's worked at the UN, she's been Prime Minister. She's every time she stepped up to the plate, she's kind of hit it out of the park, which probably isn't true, right? So what would be great is if you could share a moment or a time where you really had to struggle to get where you are now, to show that the path isn't easy for anyone.
Well, the worst struggle was when I became leader of the opposition. I had a terrible time establishing myself as a potential Prime Minister, even towards the end of my first year in the job, hitting 2% as preferred Prime Minister, which I refer to as the death zone. But I crawled out of the death zone.
Yeah, 2%?
2% wanted me as Prime Minister.
Wow. And then you were there for 9 years.
That's right.
That's amazing.
Stand up and just doing any job I can to sort of make sure I have money. I was doing like labouring and cleaning cars and stuff. And they were like, where is this going?
My childhood was amazing, but my parents didn't have any education, and we were, growing up right around the poverty line. Things were tough.
We grinded. We lived on nothing. We lived on $1 a day in China, literally. Like, that sounds like a cliche. We lived on $1 a day. We literally did. And we would literally live off rice and noodles. And I remember we actually celebrated Christmas at McDonald's. Even that was a treat.
And a very wise mentor back in the 70s said to him, New Zealand isn't ready for a brown specialist with an accent. You need to go and do general practice in an area that looks like you and sounds like you.
From school, it was straight into the nets or into the car court, hitting the ball on the string. And it's a bit of a drill that I used to do.
My teachers were telling me, oh, maybe you should just pull out. You should just continue with school. And I was like, what do you mean?
But there was no real guidance of what to eat, when to sleep, how to train.
The thing that I wanted most for my life, not actually being a possibility anymore, or not being something that was going to happen potentially, was really hard to come to terms with, I think.
The careers advisor called my parents into the school and told them that my aspirations were unreasonable and I should go and work for the Tiwai aluminium smelter.
The tall poppy syndrome here is awful, but it's not everybody who's thinking like that. There's always people who want to see others do well and get ahead. Mm-hmm. And I think in a career like this one, or any career, surround yourself with the positive people, not the negative people who tell you can't do it. If someone tells me I can't do something, I'll always want to do it. Yeah. So just don't give the naysayers the satisfaction of knowing that they've got to you is an important principle to act on.
I think it's really sad. I think we should be celebrating entrepreneurial success far more, because that is what can help drive this country forward.
Exactly. It's like their success is our success.
Correct. It is the country's success. And if we want to stop being just reliant on tourism, education, and agriculture, how do we create more global companies? How do we create more global brands? How do we create more global tech companies? And to do that, we have to make it part of our culture to embrace success in these areas and encourage people to go into them and actually start really early.
Mm. People are afraid, I feel, of going for something really big, because if they get it, then sweet. Like, that's all good. They're still going to have comments. But if they don't get it,
then they'll get smashed.
Yeah. They're just going to get ridiculed. And it's like, we should
celebrate success. We should celebrate people trying. We should celebrate everything. Everything's about, celebration. You got to celebrate effort and life just every day,
That's beautiful.
Everybody thinks you're nuts until you do it, and then it's just called, great vision and foresight.
To be honest, I'm just excited for what you're doing.
Yeah.
Seriously, because it's one of those things that the country needs. We've always talked about it, we need to improve, we need to be better, we need to support each other. But then again, it gets brushed to the side. Mm. And then all of a sudden it's, you suck, you're not good enough and this and that. Yeah. But if we make everyone aware and we make it consistent, where everyone's hearing about it all the time, then all of a sudden the country will change. But for now, it's still in that little tall poppy syndrome area.
Do you think we think big enough as Kiwis? Do we dream as big as we could?
At an individual level, I think so. There are just incredible, remarkable, extraordinary New Zealanders out there doing amazing things, both from a home base and also offshore. And it's important to really value the offshore Kiwis, because they always talk New Zealand up, in my experience. They're so positive about the opportunities that New Zealanders gave them. But as a country, I think we sometimes have a hard time raising our expectations as to what we could be.
We don't dream big enough. We should dream, I want to be unified champion. I want to reign for 5 or 10 years in the heavyweight division. That's my dream. And I can achieve it. If you put it out in the world, it's already out there, and then you can aim to achieve it.
100%.
But I think everyone should dream big. Because it's not silly to dream big. Mm-hmm. You can make it your reality.
And what's the worst that could happen?
What's the worst that can happen? You don't quite get there, but you can still try. You can keep trying. Never give up.
Not being afraid or having the courage, I suppose, to explore those options. Who knows if to come off and be fruitful, but at worst, you've given it a fair go and you've seen what's out there, and perhaps it's not quite as scary as you might have thought.
That's true. Well, I think what I found, that's what you found, nothing is truly as risky as you think it is.
Yeah.
It's like, what's the worst that could happen?
Yeah, you create these ideas in your mind, and it sort of can hold you back as well. Yeah, what's the worst?
Well, at the end of every show, you're like, you can do anything you want.
Yeah.
And since you said that, I've noticed everyone who's made it, or is like supposedly made it, they're like, almost we can't believe we're here.
Yeah.
And if we're here, like you can do it.
Yeah. And it's one thing that, it's like another thing that I've added to that I find when I talk about it is that you actually are allowed to, shoot for whatever it is you want to.
Because you never know how far you will go, or you never know what you will become. I never thought I would be the person or the dancer I am today. And I was just chilling in school dancing because I loved it. You know what I mean? So the world is literally your oyster.
Giving people the understanding that they can be the best at what they do. There's no reason. Someone's got to be.
Yeah.
Someone's got to be doing something really well in every different category and industry and vertical. Why can't we be that person that does it the best?
There's the same amount of effort that goes into building a $100 million startup than a $1 billion startup. So why would you just bother? Why bother? Starting at the bottom.
And also to develop that self-confidence that you can do it as well as anybody else.
So what would be your advice then to someone who's coming up in dance or in the entertainment field, and they are coming up against, like, they believe they can do it, but they're hearing all these negative things?
It's really, at the end of the day, you are yourself, and if you want to do something, you need to just put your all into it. Regardless, there's always going to be people that are going to tell you can't do it. I don't think that's the one. You maybe should try something else because someone else is doing it. I feel like you need to believe that you have something that someone else doesn't have. You know what I mean? Everyone has a spark in them, and if this is what you want to do, you need to put your all into it.
Well, I think ultimately you can have an incredibly fulfilling life if you do the things that you're passionate about. Working in a job that you're not passionate about, or just drudging through life, at some point you've got to say, well, what was the point of all this? Like I say, you're on you've got such a short period of time to live your life. So make sure the things you do you really, really enjoy, that you're passionate about, and if you can make a difference, then I think all as humans we should all strive to make a difference for everybody else.
How do you think externally people think about failure? So say if I endeavor to do something and I fail, I might think about it one way, but is that often going to be harsher than what other people think about it? What's your...
Yeah, so I find that people who suffer from imposter syndrome specifically, and a lot of females in this space, have a fear of failure and take it very personally. So rather than say, oh, this didn't work because of lots of multiple things, they go, this didn't work because I suck. And that really can kill the confidence in a person. And I think sometimes it's good to go, well, this didn't work, and maybe I suck a little bit, but there are other things in play. And now I've learned from that, I would do it differently next time, so let's try again. There are lots of people I meet who have had one failure and now are too afraid to fail again. But if you talk to any successful person, they will tell you all about their stuff-ups and how that's got them on this journey to where they are. If they got it right, I always say success is a terrible teacher. Because if you get it right first time, you don't learn anything.
I feel like we tend to think in a small manner until something happens, and then you realize that actually, wow, all this is possible. And that's what I want this exhibition to be for a lot of kids. So for kids coming through the exhibition, what would be your advice to them?
My advice is believe in yourself, have a plan, keep changing the plan because your aspirations will keep changing. But if you don't have a plan, you're going to hit it every time, aren't you? You're just not going to go anywhere. You'll wonder where the years have gone. So set your goals, work towards them, adapt them. You'll be amazed where you'll be 5 years on from that first plan.
Firstly, who cares what people say, right? If you back yourself to do something, you better back yourself 100% and you go for it. It doesn't matter how long it'll take. As long as you want to do it, you go ahead and do it. And if you have a dream, dreams do come true. I had a dream, it came true. And like I said, don't wait for others to say that you're good to do this and do that. If you're good enough in your mind, back yourself 100%.
If this Indian girl from finishing secondary school can start a business in Otara, the lowest socioeconomic area in New Zealand, and grow it to this size, anything is possible.
You know, we all think that it takes, you know, this extraordinary version of ourselves to achieve our dreams, but you literally can just do it with who you are. You not only are more than enough.
It's just to remember we're all human beings. We all start somewhere. We all go through whatever we need to go through to get to where we are today. And it was not handed on a plate. We are the same person. You know, we all have the same struggles. Maybe yours is unique, but take that, grab onto that, and make sure that it forms the person that you want to become. You remember all those struggles. You remember all that hard work that you've been through, because it's going to make you the person that you want to be, or maybe even beyond, you know.
Start young and think as big as you possibly can. But just start, because if you start, you will eventually find your way up the hill, and then everything will come together. But start. If you get knocked down, get up again, persist. Don't take no for an answer, because you can become the best at something. You just got to believe in yourself to become the best.
Look, I think kids dream big. You always hear a 3-year-old think they're going to be everything, and adults take that away from children. We try and bring rules and boxes back to their lives and say, oh no, you can't be this, or you can't be that, or don't be this. And so my advice is always be what you want to be, because you can change, you can do other things. There's no one career for life anymore. Try some things. If you don't like it, you learn that you didn't like it, but maybe you'll love it. So don't feel like there's only one thing that you can be when you grow up. Actually, lots of grown-ups have a squiggly line where they've done lots of different things, and that's great.
Ignore what everybody has to say. Your success is governed by two things, like deciding that you want to do it and how hard you work. Those are the only two things that are really the boundary conditions to achieving it. So think big and go for it.
The only two things?
That's the only two things. The hardest thing is just deciding that you're actually going to do it. Once you've decided you're going to do it, that's like 50% of the hardness over. And then it's just a matter of work. It's just a matter of execution after that point.
Yeah. When you say decided, you mean this is what I'm going to do, and there's no stopping it. Yep.
To be 100% you, and because that's the thing that people love the most, right? We really like when we have artists or entertainers or actors, we love them as people, right? And I think that if you can be yourself and give like a message that people can relate to, then you'll be sweet. And make sure you always enjoy it.
Go big, go really big.